Welcome everybody to the latest Street Badass live stream, coming at you live this evening from Madrid, and we're looking forward to our special guest this evening, Marie Laigneau. All right, Marie, you've been invited, and if you have a button there where you can request to join, there you are.
So quick.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
guys.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, there I am.
Hey, so welcome to the Street Badass live stream. What part of the world are you speaking to us from this evening, Marie?
Well, you were right, Todd. We met in London, and I actually live in London and have been living there for a while.
So how long have you been living in London? You're originally from Paris, though, right?
Yes, suburbs of Paris. I moved to London after graduation, and then moved to Chicago for 5 years, and then came back to the UK in 2014. And I probably will retire in London.
So you think you're going to stay there for a while. And so you're from what parts of the outskirts of Paris, you said?
Yeah, originally I lived in the west side of the suburbs of Paris, like a very sleeping place, nothing to mention, no life, really like the dream.
Yeah, because we actually are in the western suburbs too. So
Whereabouts?
Le Vésinet.
Ah, yeah. Do you like it?
It's great because it's pretty close to Paris. And it's a nice place.
Well, I'm a Londoner.
You're a Londoner now.
I've given up on Paris a long time ago.
Hey, so what we typically do when we have you guys on the live stream is we ask about the first time that you had a camera in your hand. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
The first time I had a camera in my hand, it must have been when I was 10 or something. My grandma had lots of great cameras and always the latest models and stuff. So I was documenting our vacations and family, but it's not really the deepest and most moving memories I have of using a camera. It was a lot later, when I was 25, when I actually got my own DSLR camera, that things really changed. Before that, it was never really mine, so it was all playing around.
So your first camera was, or the first time that you touched cameras was your grandmother's, but then you got your own camera at 25?
Yes, yeah.
And so when you started doing photography at 25, did you start doing street photography, or what kind of photography did you start out with?
No, I started doing photography when I was traveling mostly, and I felt totally overwhelmed shooting about everything that was beautiful. And so it was really frustrating for anyone traveling with me, because I mean, I was shooting about everything. And then by looking through the photos I was taking, and I realized that people were by far the most interesting aspect of the photography I was doing. And then I decided to just do street photography. And I was in Chicago, and I started seeing stories everywhere. And that's how I got into it 12 years ago.
I have to say that when I was looking through your stuff, the Chicago stuff hit me really hard, because that's actually the city that I went to university in. And so when I was looking at your photos, there's a lot of like nostalgia that came in with them, and I recognized some of the places, and it looked like you had a lot of fun shooting in Chicago. Now, how did you find it starting shooting your street photography in Chicago? Did you like the fact that it was a city that you weren't from? Do you think that helped to help you move around to shoot?
Yes, I mean, it's really easy. I mean, I've never had a car, and I'm not driving, so one of the only city I could live in the US was Chicago, so that's a good thing. But Chicago is a beautiful city. It's really understated in France, and in most Europe, people don't think of it. It's very cold and very beautiful in summer, and very hot, so it's very extreme. Has magnificent architecture. and like a sun that comes on you and creates diagonal of shadows, which is incredible. And also the moodiness of the blizzard falling on you. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. So me, I really started by capturing the wonders of the city and people and their relationship with that beautiful city, really. So, and it was very moody, emotional pictures, I would say, very much triggered by some internal emotions.
Yeah, I
And
thought so
looking
too.
for
When I saw those photos of Chicago, it seemed very moody, and it was. I was also really impressed with the stuff that you did in the blizzards because it's tough to shoot when it's cold. Because I don't know if people who are watching understand how cold it gets in Chicago, but it gets like next level cold.
Yes, well, I didn't do so many of them, but yes, it's you don't stay more than 10 minutes in one spot. It's but look, it was fun. It was a really good time, and shooting snow is not somewhere we can do anymore, really, around where we live. So I was quite happy and really excited by the discovery of street photography. And Chicago was a wonderful place. Also New York, which I started to visit and go to from that time.
Yeah,
So
it's
interesting to
interesting
hear
that.
you.
Go ahead,
Uh,
Kay.
I was going to say it's interesting to hear you speak about that, the beginnings of your photography and how. I mean, it's impressive to hear how connected you became with your what you were shooting and how you instantly wanted to focus on the people and stuff like that. You were already paying very close attention to the streets and your photographs and how you were capturing them. So like moving from just traveling to all of a sudden you were like, oh, it's the people and boom, the stories. And that's pretty impressive that you connected that so early in your photography game.
Huh. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, this was the time, of Google Plus, and I started meeting lots of photographers and get into a lot of conversations about the pictures I had taken from India, which was a decisive moment where I decided to go for street photography only. And I just saw all those pictures of landscapes, and I said, I don't know, everyone can take them. I mean, I guess it's I just thought the streets and the people, these are really, decisive moments as we were discussing, as you mentioned before. This is an image that no one else is going to take, that is just going to evaporate in the next second if you haven't seen it. And there's not many genres of photography that can allow you to do that. This is
Right.
probably the only one. And I think I've always been very introspective into looking for my likes, dislikes, what triggers me and drives me to do things.
Mm.
And that's how early on, for example, I knew where I was going with street photography. Although the street photography genre was not very well defined at the time, and very boyish, mannish, and very. If you're not X or Y, then you're absolutely not a street photographer. So there was a little bit of ambiguity about what I was doing, but not in my mind. In my mind, I didn't care. I just went on with how it felt. I just followed that.
I have to say,
That's amazing.
if it was an old boys club back then, you were holding your own because you did a lot of really amazing shots back then. So I was looking through some of your stuff online, and it seems that candid photography for you is very important. And you said something along the lines that it allows you to explore the unconsciousness with the people in the cities. Could you expand on that a little bit and tell us why you like to shoot candidly?
Yeah, I think I'm really bad at staging or imagining things, starting with from a concept. And on the other hand, I love to think that serendipity exists in a way, and I'd love to be able to say that I've been able to see a scene where everything connects and works together. I think in the thematic I'm looking in the streets, this has evolved. At first, it was really, it's very projective. It's how I was feeling, probably I was projecting onto my subject. My emotions were projecting onto my subject. So in reality, I was constructing the narrative behind the photos. I didn't care about who that person was, or whether they were real. You know, they were all parts of me and my imagination and how I saw them connect to the city. But I think there is an interesting parallel between city and people, how people embrace and live in their urban environment, how that urban environment can sometimes reflect their emotions or the believed emotions they might have. So there's an interesting link and relationship to explore, which has been a kind of the focus of many works of my work for many years at the beginning.
Yeah, it did seem like that was an ongoing theme. And I think that you captured that very well in a lot of the photos that you had that involved umbrellas. I thought that you have a lot of umbrella photos, and there was a lot of emotion in those, like a lot of kind of solitude and kind of the effect of the city on the person in the photos, especially in some of those kind of snowy shots you did in Chicago.
Yes. And I was using black and white mostly. It was all about light, and light makes it possible to see mood. Yes, it's an easy composition. It's what I was seeing naturally. So I don't know if these are very good shots, but I mean, I have taken very good shots that I'm very happy, and I've done exhibitions of them, so it was great. And umbrellas played a big role, but more recently I've shifted to color to challenge myself, and I can't play at all. I don't want to play on emotions or mood at all. So there, it's a very, very different problem to solve. And it's a whole new territory and a whole new set of experimentation to see what else can be there besides what I've already done, really.
So when you're shooting in black and white, is it more about the light and the scene, or is it more about the scene and the color? So what makes you, well, let me ask you this way. What makes you choose color over black and white for a scene and vice versa?
I don't think I was choosing. Mostly I was shooting in black and white because I see lights naturally. So, and the emotional pictures come through in black and white very well. So it's since they were emotional driven pictures, the black and white was there. I could control where the light was going. I could control how much you were showing out of the background if you wanted. There was a timeliness of it that worked very well. Then I switched to color, and I forbade myself to go back to black and white. So it's not it's not like I can't choose anymore. It's I have to choose a different direction, because colors is a completely different game. With colors, you can't hide distractions. It's often ugly. It's often it's like it's life in all of its shapes and forms. You know, it's messy, it's chaotic, it's dirty, it's everything that you're trying to avoid in black and white, really. And I'm less interested in conveying, for example, emotions that I used to be. Now I'm interested in boots of life put together, perhaps in an image. So more curious moments, or play with colors, or it's less aesthetic and less emotional than it used to be. It's a lot more messy. I guess it's also an homage to my dear Leica. After doing a lot of clean shots, it's time to let it go a little bit.
That's pretty
I
brave.
find,
Go ahead, Kay.
yeah, I was going to say, I find color can be a distraction as well. It can just create more distractions, and it's very hard for me, to get the story more focused, visually, when there's all these other variables adding to somebody's perception of what that story might be. And I just want to make a quick observation, because we were talking about light. Even in your color, I still think that well, what stuck out to me was how you are still focused on the light. Even in those color photos, I was like, she's still very much seeing the light. I don't know if it's first, but it's very prevalent still in your color
Yeah,
shots.
I mean, this is a very good observation. Thank you very much, Kei. I mean, it's I think light will always be there for me. It's when it's sunny outside, I'm just a different photographer. My mood is a lot happier. I'm looking, everything sounds and feels possible, and I just love it. So I don't think you can completely reinvent yourself without forgetting who you are at the heart of it. Light has always been there. I see it in every color. It's used for different purposes, though. I mean, suppose I imagine if you think about it. But yeah, it matters. I'm a fair weather type of photographer nowadays.
So I know that you closed the door, so to speak, on black and white. Is there anything that would make you shoot black and white again? Is that forever, or do you think you might do it again someday?
Well, first, give me the time to actually produce something interesting in color, and
I
then we'll
think
see.
you've done that, in fairness.
I'm yeah, but I think there's still a lot more than I want to do there. And it's just a lot easier to know what you're shooting first, to give you constraints. I mean, at least to me, giving myself constraints makes me focus on what I'm seeing, on what I'm experimenting with, and it works. It motivates me. If I go back to black and white, I'm just going to do the same picture over and over again. And that's the reasons I shifted to color. It's because at some
Interesting.
point I was taking the same picture over and over again. And I was like, I am done. I need to do something else. I need to
Right?
find something different.
It becomes so not inspiring anymore when you get into that. I totally recognize that.
But it's
Having
also pretty brave to just go ahead and stop doing one type and move to another, because it's like a whole new world of photography.
But it helps to have no expectations of oneself. Or you see what I mean? So I was very competitive, and I had lots of expectations of my street photography when it was working. I was doing exhibitions and stuff. I decided that I just do things for myself. So I don't really care whether or not I get in the shots that are going to be very popular, because the lady behind the umbrella in Japan is never going to be forgotten in my mind. But if I can do something different and something that I'm proud of in a very different style that still feels like me, but an evolution of me, then I'd be proud. And honestly, because I really don't need much from photography from other people. I mean, I don't have any constraints. I have all the time I have in the world, really. Well, every Saturday is to shoot, but so I think it's by just lowering expectations and thinking I just want to enjoy the process as much as I enjoy the result, really, and the process to find myself in color. What is, for example, the color version of a rainy day? I still haven't figured out. I don't know if that exists yet.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. And that's great advice, too. I think I've heard that before, someplace, that they say that if you shoot for yourself, that's the most important person to shoot for. The rest is just extra.
Well, I'm lucky. I mean, I don't have to live from photography, so it takes away a lot of the pressure and a lot of the necessity to succeed.
right. Agreed.
Hey, so I saw
Right.
some photos that you had done in Flash. What was it like shooting with Flash for you? How did you find that experience?
Wow. Well, I mean, I have an M240, so I bought a Leica flash that supposedly works with it in TTL. I don't think it even does that. So it's basically literally using my camera fully manual, not even ISO auto, which is the only manual aspect of a Leica M. And it's like starting photography again. I have no idea how it works. Nobody could explain to me. It's test and trial all the time. People are reacting very strangely to having a big flash in their face. And it's really interesting and it's really hard. I think overall, I prefer the colors of the night normally, but I couldn't with the Leica M I had a very low ISO. So I basically was autofocus. Well, I was manual focus at f2, which after a while it's a little bit hard. So I really wanted to experiment at low speed, and I got some interesting shots that I really like.
Yeah, I
And
thought those are pretty interesting. That, in fact, I featured one of them today, I believe, where it had like the kind of like star on the eye.
yeah, or it's so strange. You can't expect, there's really nothing you can really expect from Flash. It's like opening a box of chocolate and seeing what you get. I think there's, for me, very little control over my technique with Flash. I'm not much of a technician, so I like it, but I moved to a Leica Q camera, for example, just for the versatility and the simplicity of having a camera where I can use with a single hand, for
Oh, you got a
example.
Q.
Yeah,
Really? You moved to what do you have? What Q do you have?
Q3.
Oh, you got the 3. So I've got the original Q. I love that camera.
Well, me too,
It's
and
just, oh, I love that camera.
so you see, I mean, Flash is an additional one, and I admire so much people who actually do wonderful things with Flash. I don't know that I have the patience to do it all the time myself. Because I mean, you are being visible, very visible. Normally, I'm fearless and I don't
Yeah, I
care.
was going
But
to ask you about that because if you really like shooting stuff kind of undercover, if you're going to shoot in flash, everybody knows you're taking pictures, even people that aren't involved with the scene. How did you deal with that if you're a fan of not being seen?
I'm
Was
not a
that
fan of.
difficult to deal with?
No, not exactly. I'm not a fan of not being seen. I'm a fan of capturing candid moments. I
So how
don't
did
mind when
did
people
you
are
feel
on.
like, well, let me ask it this way. Did you feel like shooting in flash affected your ability to capture candid, or were you getting just that moment right before it became uncandid? Or the
Yeah,
kind of transitional moment?
yeah. No, I got those moments you mentioned, and I also get them without flash because people sometimes turn to me, and that's what makes the photo interesting. Because all of a sudden there is a direct, there is a relationship between the eyes the moment they start to realize what's happening, but it's still very frontal. You see the feeling that you are putting a big flashlight that you don't really control in people's face, even if there is no reaction, etc. afterwards. I know people are seeing me normally, but I think they're reacting less weirdly just because I think flash is a little aggressive in some way for me. I'm in between, I think candid photography with flash is difficult. And also, it limits the types of photography you can take. You can't really take layered pictures with flash, as far as I've tried, because everything gets dark in the background, and your subject is very much highlighted. So how do you work out layered pictures with flash is not yet something that I have figured out to do well. So it's a
It's
particular
tricky.
type of photography, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think it's tricky to do something layered like that because I think you'd think the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is if you were dealing with a brighter street scene and then maybe like a darker shadow off a building, and then were you shooting the flash on the camera or off camera?
no, it's I mean, the only flash that works with the Leica M I have is basically like just a flash that you put
The
on.
one right on there. Okay, so
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you
So
use with your Q, Todd? I blame Todd for actually even turning me on to flash photography. I totally wholeheartedly blame Todd. But Todd, when you're out, I know you're handheld, right?
yeah,
That's
I
with your
do.
Q?
I do off camera with my cue. And then
What
that
flash
just
are you using?
gives me the ability if I want to get flash something over on this side, I can do that. So I just have on one part of the picture, I
Yeah.
can do it that way. And that seems to help. On camera is great if you're just doing straight portraits, but I think that if you're off camera, then you can kind of paint with the light, so to speak. But it's tricky. I mean, you get a lot of duds before you get the
Right.
ones, the keepers,
And now,
yeah.
and now you're all, you're a thing. You're a moving thing, right? Too. You're like walking
Well,
around like there's
maybe.
like people see you coming. Like I've done it both ways. Like I've got this thing, and sometimes people are like, they're staring at the light instead of like even like bothering with a camera or something. They so focused on my flash that everybody's looking in this direction or something.
Well, that actually is a pretty cool effect to try out. Like everyone's looking off the scene.
Right.
What are they looking at? Is a main question. No, I think that would be cool. No, I haven't experimented with better flashes. I would say like more versatile ones. I think I'm a little jealous that you're talking to me about that. I probably will want to buy one.
Hey, I have to be honest with you though. I was very impressed with what you did. It was interesting.
Well,
So
thank you
you
because
came away with something. I was impressed because I can spot the flash a mile away when I see it. I was like, she's done some flash, and it was pretty. Hey, so I was looking through. You have a couple of different ebooks. One book was storytelling and street photography.
yeah. Yeah, so I was invited to make a presentation at a series of conferences in Chicago. So I had to think through what I was going to say, etc. And that ebook, to be fair, has been seen and read by many people, but it's just a translation of my presentation from slides to PDF.
But that's actually a really great idea if you think about it. If you're doing a presentation, then why not make it into an ebook?
Yes, and also I made it free. I mean, it was not the purpose was not really to make money from it. I was already making money from the conference. So, but it's I'm a strategist in real life, so I love analysis and I love thinking of themes or how I understand everything that I've been told about photography, how that comes together in my own photography, and how can you frame that in a way that makes people understand it in a structured way. That's what I was after. I think I love writing and thinking about photography, so I've done this one. And the second one was very different. It was an exploration of creativity in street photography, knowing that we're opportunists as street photographers. We generally don't plan, we generally don't think, we just shoot. And how do you step back and identify that this is the right direction for you to go, or potentially create series, or like how does it work creatively for different people? So I interviewed 10 street photographers, the Vorat brothers and Rami Narula, a few. They were all my friends from Facebook, and I learned from them. I created a book with just outputs from their interviews and showcasing their beautiful photography, which I think was the major point of the book, if I'm honest. But
I'm going to download this book now.
so these are the wisdom of a few people that I have put together in this book.
So if you were able to talk to yourself as a beginning photographer, what kind of things would you tell your beginning photographer self that you know now? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question. Maybe not to me, because it was not really so much my problem personally, but I've met a lot of young street photographers or starting street photographers, and they have their head full of references, and they are mentioning people in their network who are so great and how they are not so great in comparison. And really, what I want to tell them is that to become a photographer, you need to identify what is it that you bring uniquely in terms of how you see. Because what we see is so important in street photography, right? It's not really the technique and anything else. But for this really to happen, you need to look into your work and really identify with curiosity what drives you to shoot, what you're interested in, what you see naturally, what works for you. And I think that's how you can hone your skills and hone your gift of seeing and create your own photography in a way. Otherwise, the risk is to fall short of trying to emulate the work of others that you have full in your mind and never really finding what street photography is for you. And I think it's too bad.
Well, how has yours evolved? As you look at your own work, how has that evolved for you?
I didn't know much at all about street photography, but I knew about cinema history, cinema analysis, etc. So, I mean, I created my own street photography, if you want. I took pictures that I liked for myself, and then people gave me feedback and said, "This is interesting. People are always going away from your pictures. This is not the rules of compositions." And it started to make me question why I was doing this and why I wanted so much the city to look like they were absorbing people, and whether it was intentional or not, really. And so it helped me figure out the common thread, the patterns, and the things that I was seeing. And now I'm starting all over again. That's the reality. So now it's a whole new era of discovery. But it's hard to get away from the millions of references of the shots that you wish you had taken. But perhaps this is not exactly the type of photography you're going to do best. So I think we need to keep an eye on who we are and still having fun.
So when you leave the house to shoot, do you have are you heading to an area thinking I'm looking for this shot, or are you leaving the house trying to have your mind open to whatever's going to happen?
No, I never think really tactically about what I want to have or what I'm going to have. It's still very instinctive. I'm an instinctive photographer, so I almost don't stay very long on a scene. I shoot at the moment the moment happens. So I just know and plan the places where I'm going to go, which goes with a set of opportunities that I'm aware of. I know where light can be found. I know, and in London, there's only a few of those places. I mean, there's not 100 of them over the weekend. It's either all empty or all very busy. So you've got to pick your choice. But I go with just a big appetite to shoot. And I don't question. I question afterwards when I'm in a reflective mode. But when I'm in a shooting mode, I just listen to my instinct.
And how important is it to you that you get the shot perfectly, or is making mistakes part of the process?
Oh, I'm completely fine shooting 99% of garbage. I shoot all the time. People are actually if I was shooting with film, I would be bankrupted.
Yep.
I mean so I'm completely fine. It absolutely doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just to even keep my camera alive, really, so it doesn't go to sleep. Because I'm really like shooting in the moment. Sometimes I think that there could be a moment. I'm taking the shots expecting the moment may happen at the moment I take the shot. It doesn't. Fine. Something out of focus? Fine. I don't even look at my pictures when I shoot. I look at them afterwards and I delete them in bulk. So
you delete them. You're just like, no, done, never to be seen again.
Yes, I delete them because if I take 500 pictures from a 4 or 3 hours photo walk, I will do a first swap of it, and I'm just going to keep perhaps 150, and everything
That's
else.
bold.
gets, oh yeah, everything else gets
You see me,
deleted
I'm
and
rubbing my
removed from
face
my
to
disk.
what you're saying right now is stressing me out because you're
I
deleting
know.
those pictures. So I'm like rubbing my face right now.
Yeah, I'm
That's,
delusionally
I'm like,
optimistic that like when I go back a few years later, that maybe my mind's eye has been trained, you know, differently or better or evolved differently. That and it's happened. It's happened where I'm like, oh, maybe that photo is worth something now. And so I'll mess around with old images that I mean, no, we're not talking super old. Like, I don't want to go back, years or anything because I know like I've evolved to a different type of photographer. But just even like a few months earlier, I go back and I'm like, wait a minute, I missed this photo. Maybe there's something here. I don't know. But to delete them, I mean, like I cull and I figure out which ones I'm actually going to look at right now and maybe edit. But boy, oh boy, that is some cojones right there to just go, gone, you're gone, you're
hey,
done.
Marie, I've got to tell you that we have a couple people that are watching that, I Shoot New York says I share the delusional optimism. And then traveling CRNA deleted gasp.
But
So
it's because
you've struck a
otherwise
nerve with your
No,
deleting the
but
pictures.
yeah,
I'm gonna say something that I think that it speaks very strongly as to back to how you are connected to where you are and what you want out of your photographs or like your photographic process. I still like I'm not as clear uh, personally, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't get rid of everything. I'm not entirely clear about what my style or what my whole journey is about with photographs. But in speaking to you, it's become apparent to me that you have a clarity and have always been connected to something about your photography in a way that, like I said, I find impressive. Maybe a little jealous love hate going on there with that, but that's just me. That's just me.
that's so very nice. I figured out that it's been 12 years I shoot. I've never been back to my raw files. They are on physical drives, which probably don't work anymore. So I don't really want to try and figure that out. I want to keep the impression that it may work. So I prefer to export more JPEGs than the one I share, perhaps. And I hesitate. On the one side, I hesitate. But I think the very good pictures or the good pictures are rare. I allow myself to shoot a lot of intermediary pictures or just to let my instinct work. So yes, I'm quite clear on the 150 or 200 I'd want to keep, but out of that, I'm only going to share 20. So I still keep, you see,
Those
a certain,
are still pretty decent numbers, honestly.
Yeah,
But I do
yeah.
like the fact that you're shooting a lot because I think it's even the test shots sometimes can end up surprising you. Because and one thing that struck me when you were speaking earlier, like you'll take a picture just so the camera doesn't go into sleep mode. And it's actually a really good technique because it's going to make you take a picture of something that you probably wouldn't take a picture of normally. And sometimes you end up from those pictures coming up with a happy accident. And that's something that you keep for later. I can speak for me on that. I do the same thing. That's something I do. That's why it struck a nerve with me. Um, I shoot every minute or so. I have kind of a clock in my head, and I want to shoot something at least every minute. And so if my minute's up, I'm going to shoot because I want to keep in that kind of flow in my head. And so I'll come up with shots that are kind of crazy, but some of them kind of work. And I never shot dogs before I started doing my minute shoots. And I was like, man, I'm just going to test on this dog here. And then the dog photos ended up being a happy accident for me. I had some pretty good dog shots.
It's
So
a dog exhibition.
yeah, ended up having an exhibition in Paris off
oh
the dog
wow.
stuff, which was, I was like, what?
I mean, some of my best shots are just like an afterthought. You know? So I wouldn't say, you know, I would say I give chance a chance, so I shoot a lot. Some people I've met are actually framing but not shooting, and only shooting a very few times. I don't know what I just if I'm framing and about to shoot, I'm probably going to take the shot. We're very different in this regard. So yeah, I mean, you just have to understand that it's a lot of pictures and it fills my hard drive in crazy ways. And so, and I don't want to be paralyzed by the choice as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it helps me with my editing skills to make a first deletion. But guys, when you have 700 pictures per week, I can tell you will delete.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'm with you. I can cull it down. I've gotten way better at culling it down and maybe picking, you know, a third or less of what I shoot in the time that I go out now. And then I won't, like I said, there's many of them that I know are just trash, absolute trash. But to actually hit that delete button, that's not me. But
it's good to have rules, but it's also good to break those rules sometimes.
Duly noted. I wanted to ask Marie if she's a hunter or a fisher.
I'm a hunter.
You're a hunter.
So, I mean, it kind of depends. Sometimes you could stay in a place where there is this wonderful light and like an ongoing flow of people, or people are static but moving a little bit and you can go around them and shooting. So that happens. But I'm generally always on the move. And I go at things. I don't wait for things to come to me, or I don't wait in front of a nice background for the right person to come in front of it. I would kill myself before doing such things. So, and I love that. I love the adrenaline of hunting. You know, this is like a drug.
Yeah.
Going after subjects, scanning everything, looking for opportunities one way, another. So yeah, I'm definitely hunting, and I'm not very patient. So, well, I'm not very patient. You know, if I stay somewhere 10 minutes and then I move on.
See, that 10 minutes sounds like forever to me.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, Oxford Circus, for example, you might stay 10 minutes or sometimes more, because there is an ongoing flow of people, and you can try to turn around. But well, like I think in an area we stay a few minutes. We stay a certain time in certain areas, but not immobile, if that makes sense. So
yeah, exactly.
and I'm never looking for one type of shot. There's not a shot that I'm hoping is going to fully realize itself. It's me coming at the to meet the shot that is possible and coming in front of my eyes, and that's really a hunting behavior, I think. I mean, I would love to be like Vinet Vora and being able to, you know, walk the scene and being passionately looking, turning around, finding your angles, having your amazing layered shots. But it's not that easy, neither fun in London to do that. So.
Speaking of Oxford Street, that's one of my favorite places to shoot when it's golden hour, because the way that the light comes down just like that, if you walk with the light to your back, you can just get like the most amazing shots on that street, with the light shining into the people when it's like getting ready to get dark, you know, for that hour and a half before. It's one of the best streets around for that on Oxford.
Yes. Yeah,
it's just amazing.
If you can manage the crowd and still get the types of pictures you want, the light is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's chaos. So you're right. There's a lot of people, but it's also London. One thing about London is it's a city with a lot of red, and so you know it's amazing how much red is in London.
Yeah.
And you go out and you find that red, and you get some of that red in your pictures with that light. It's crazy good. it's the city. When I'll say this about London, when London is sunny, it's one of the best places on earth to shoot because the sun is just the light's so beautiful there, and then the colors and the stuff that's available. You're very lucky to be able to shoot there as often as you do. But speaking of places that you shoot, is there anything that you have in your bucket list, any place that you'd like to go to that you haven't been to yet?
No, I have been, and that's why I'm going to say that these are some of the best places to shoot. So, number one is New York, Manhattan,
That's number
uh,
one for you, New York. That's interesting.
Midtown, Manhattan. Honestly, anywhere in Manhattan. I mean, I just come back from 10 days of shooting there, and I'd have shot quite often there. But oh, New York is fantastic. Just different opportunities, but it's never boring. And Tokyo, Shimbuyu and areas located around. I absolutely love Tokyo by day, by night, by sun, by rain. It's like it's a booming city with so much energy, so much paradox. I mean, I just went there for 10 days and it was a love story. I mean, I just fell in love. So, and number three would be London.
That's your
So,
top three.
well, yeah, so that's my top three.
Where would you go? Are there any places that you haven't been to yet that you'd go to that you'd like to go to?
Oh, I'd like to go back to Istanbul. That was amazing, and I haven't really even starting scratching the surface of it. I mean, I'm a big city person, so big cities around the world would be of interest. I think, but I mean, world cities are really New York, London. Tokyo, in a way, has a very strange regional, like Japanese vibe to it, but very urban, very explosive. So, no, I don't think of any other places I wish to go particularly. Just if you have any recommendations, I'll take. I mean, yes, Morocco, great. I've been there. So hard to shoot. So I think it's a balance between what you can shoot, where you can shoot, and the interest of the place for street photography.
Somebody had a suggestion here of Mumbai. Todd can speak to that. I would even say like Havana is color. If you're doing color, that's a great place to try because you'll
Yeah,
get a bunch of great
India
people.
appears to be quite amazing. I went there 5 weeks, but I was not a street photographer yet, so uh, I would need to redo it completely and just focus on that. And my friend Leah came back with wonderful pictures and like a whole new level of street photography after her trip. So that is quite fantastic. And
Nice thing about places like Mumbai and Bangkok is if you go out there, you can really shoot a lot, and people are really open to it, and so you can kind of take your photography to the next level if you're out there because you can have if you're there on a trip for photography, you can have really big shooting days and really big deleting days if you're Marie.
There's a question here, Todd, from I Shoot NY. Do you have any photography triggers?
first of all, it turns out that across my photography, I shoot mostly women. Now I'm expanding to a lot more subjects because it depends on other things. But basically, what makes me shoot? Light, we mentioned it. Like great light falling on someone, and what I try to get is more and more someone plus some other things in my image. And when I see that triangle or that layers in my mind up, I try to shoot because I see something that could come together and start interesting me. So this is that. Beautiful women are still probably a trigger that I will never get rid of. But yeah, there's something mysterious about people who are not us, but could be us, right? And whenever there is a scene of, of a little bit of chaos or a few people coming together, I think that I start turning around and thinking, could I grab that moment where there, where something is happening between them, and whether it's intentional or it's, completely remote group and something is happening. So that also makes me try to frame and shoot. So layers, light, and an interesting subject.
Hey, so I understand that you also do workshops. If somebody wanted to do a workshop with you, how would they go about doing that? So I think you do like 4 hours in London or something like that.
For me, yes. Well, so I don't quite do that anymore. I should change it on my website. I have done it for many years. But now, actually, I would recommend my great friend David Gibson for all workshop-related purposes, because he's one of the best educator I know, and his culture of street photography is just fantastic. So whenever someone asks me for a workshop, I generally direct them to David, who's
So
also
shout out to David.
Nice.
I get them to David, who's also in London, and a great photographer in his own right. So, but that's very nice to try to promote my activities. But I have actually I did it because a lot of people asked me, but it's I don't really have the time, and I'm really tired with my work, and I just prefer shooting, really. So I have stopped to do extracurriculum work activities related to photography.
Fair enough. I get where you're coming from. Well, Marie, we only get an hour on these, and if we go over, then we run the risk of losing the live stream. And all of our live streams are kept in our archive. So I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been nice to talk to you and hear your point of view about your photography.
Such a
Thank you
pleasure to
so
meet
much.
you.
Thank you for inviting me, guys. It was a pleasure talking to you. I love Street Badass, and I loved your festival. And please do more. And I will see you
It's a
soon.
deal. But and if you do yourself a favor, go and look through Marie's feed. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. A lot of great nostalgic shots, a lot of great emotional shots, and a lot of great chaotic shots out of London and New York. So thanks again, Marie. See you guys
Thank
later.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.